All right, we're back at it, part two, Sunday Night Football today. Wild card weekend. I know you guys are probably just watching all the buffet of games that's been happening, but yesterday, today, you're full of football. We'll get ready to get more full of more football because the Browns and Steelers play at 8:30 today on NBC. As far as we know, this game could be postponed by the time.
As of time of recording, the game is still going to be played at 8:30, but yeah, you're going to have to dump this segment over when you post it.
Who knows? Who knows? All I know is eventually it will get hot in the kitchen. It's AFC North football. I got my buddy Tony here from AFC North Talk, and we're here to talk about the game, but more or less just talk about where the Steelers are at, where Steeler fans are at, because I think they have been at an interesting place all week. What do you think this team is going to perform like heading into this game based on what you have seen from them throughout this week of preparation?
Well, I think the fan base has this confidence. I mean, they are very confident going into this. I am on the other side of that, right? I mean, this week I am Tony the hater when it comes to the Steelers because I'm just not as confident as Steeler fans are. Look, I get why Steeler fans are confident. This Steeler team beat up on the Browns earlier this year, right? 38-7. We all remember that game. Then last week, they nearly beat him with the backups, right? And so, Steeler fans have this kind of, A plus B equals C mentality. Like, we almost beat you with the backups. We're definitely going to beat you with the starters. I've been watching football long enough. I know it does not work like that. It just does not always work like that. And I know there's more things going in the Steelers' advantage, right? I mean, you've got going from Cleveland to Pittsburgh the very next week, right? The idea this is a playoff game, right? They talk about the things are faster or whatnot, but the idea that the Browns are playing in their first playoff game, that's going to probably be in their head in this game. Whereas I think, certain players on the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, right, is going to be a little more comfortable in that moment. So I get all that confidence. But for me, and I've been saying this for weeks now, this Steeler team is not playing well enough to win a playoff game. They have not played well enough to win a playoff game in 6 weeks. They did it for one half of football against Indianapolis to clinch the division, and then they decided they were going to shut it down. So, again, I just don't know what Steeler team I'm going to see going into this game. I hope that I see the team that played the second half against Indianapolis. But I fear that we are going to see something very similar to what we saw against Baltimore the second time they played, or even worse, maybe the Cincinnati game on Monday night, or even the first half against Indy, where in that game, not only could the offense not move the football, but, Phillip Rivers and the Colts were putting up points in that game when that was without turnover by the Steeler offense. Yeah, I mean, that's where I am personally right now. I think Steeler fans are very, very confident about this team, about this win. I am coming in, much more like, hey, listen, 3 weeks ago we were talking about this team being one and done and Ben retiring, right? And one half of football, yeah, it's nice, but I don't think it changes my mind entirely.
It's gonna be interesting, right? It seems to have had a major flip when it comes to the popular consciousness of this game, because if you weren't looking at records, you would swear that this Pittsburgh team finished, the 14-2 that everybody expected them to finish, and the Browns snuck into the playoffs with a 8-8
right,
or a 9-7 record.
Right.
The way this game has been talked about, and I think this is very interesting. The people are talking about the Browns as if they don't really do much good. That's just weird to me, but it's Browns Steelers, so it just a lot of stuff gets weird during this week.
One thing that was interesting to me, because I was on a Browns podcast the other day, and they I'm surprised at how defeatist almost I was that the Browns that they were, right? I mean, it was the preamble that they had on that show was nothing has gone right for this Browns team. Everything is wrong. It's basically a lost cause at this point with all the, without Stefanski and all the players on the list that can't play. This is, it's over. Forget about it. Right. We'll just hoping to keep it close. I just don't see it that way. I know you don't see it that way either. Right.
No, not at all. And you know what, with the Browns, what you have to deal with some fans is because since they were terrible for so long, right? People are always just waiting for the other shoe to drop. 2014, They start off 7-4. Johnny and Josh Gordon get involved in that season. All of a sudden, you finish 7-9. The playoff season, right, with with Kelly Holcomb, right? They get to the playoffs with Kelly Holcomb, and then they lose a heartbreaker to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, you go back to the drive, the fumble. Like, there's a grouping of people. Some of them, I think, just like actually enjoy the misery, but don't want to admit it. So like they kind of just like being miserable. So they kind of like somewhat kind of, it's weird. Like, I don't know if you ever been to a Browns game, but it's weird. The second one thing goes wrong, like it comes off, like it gets unscrewed, it gets loose, people start freaking out.
Yeah.
It can be kind of tiring at times, but also I try to point out to Browns fans, yes, I get that those things have happened, but also it's like, you know, Baker Mayfield's not Kelly Holcomb. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't right. Butch Davis pulling one out of thin air in his third year as head coach. This is a team that looks like, you know, they go 11-5 this year. Say they even go one and done. I don't think they are. But, you know, let's say they go one and done this week, right? Are you really going to think this team's going to go 8-8 next year? You know what I mean? Like, so there is this defeatist attitude. I think a lot of them just used to being beaten down. So whenever they see any reason to be down on a team, they jump on it because that's usually been the right answer. But that hasn't been the right answer because of anything benevolent. That's just been the right answer because the team's been incompetent for 20 years. You know, that doesn't mean that that's going to be the case. But yeah, it's shocking for a team that has overcome so much this year. Talk about not having Odell, not having Nick Chubb for portions of the season, not having Wyatt Teller, having all kind of like the multiple shutdowns during the year with their practice facilities, not having Denzel Ward for the Titans game, not having Myles Garrett for a portion of this season. Then when Myles comes back, he has to do breathing exercises because he's not full stat, you know, and you still found a way to get to 11-5. No OTAs, no training camp. Kevin Stefanski still found a way to get to 11-5. Right. I am going to put faith that this team has overcome enough to be able to have a chance in a football game to where, look, you don't have some key players, but you might have Denzel Ward back. That's going to be a huge deal. And you have Baker. You got your two running backs as of now, when this video is recorded, and you have Myles Garrett. And when you have those are guys who can give you a chance in a game. And I think that's what Browns fans need to. This is not a year where you're just going 11-5 just based off fluke. Nobody can look at this roster and say, oh, that's a fluke that they went 11-5. But that's how people look at it. Like, this is like Courtney Brown had like a big year. And you're like, oh, I know that ain't real. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when certain players have a big year, you're like, yeah, that's a 1 year thing. You know, this ain't. But when it's a top quality players like the Browns have, like, you know, I think fans need to just trust that they're good, but you know, it's just been a frustrating and weird environment this last 2 weeks where people are just like, oh, assuming the Browns are just going to blow it.
The other thing they should remember is that they're not playing. It's not like this. It's not like they're playing like this red hot team in the playoffs, right? I mean, I know the Steelers have been like Big Brother and they haven't won in Heinz Field in forever, right? But they're not playing the Bills, right? They're not playing the Ravens or someone like that who's coming in who's just like red hot. Coming against a team that, like I said, has been playing bad football and then turned it around for a half, clinched a division and shut it down, right? We haven't seen them since. There's every chance, like, the Browns might have all these problems. The Steelers have plenty of problems of their own.
Yeah, and as much as some Browns fans hate Pittsburgh, there are a lot of Browns fans who just like can't wait to bend over to Pittsburgh sometimes. They're like, oh, it's Pittsburgh. Oh my God, Heinz Field. I get it. Whatever. It's just kind of annoying at this point. But let's try to get back on topic to the game here. What do you feel the energy is with Pittsburgh? Because we talked about the fans, right? When the fans don't play, and they're not even going to be at the game, right? Because they just canceled all of that. And those tickets were ridiculous, by the way. Somebody tried to sell me one for like $1,000. It's like, wow. Yeah. But, you know, let's talk about the team and the mindset there. Now, Mike Tomlin's a veteran coach. There normally should be no reason to worry about it, but there's been one blind spot with Tomlin. Sometimes it could be like, you know, this Steeler team can tend to overlook opponents at times or appear to overlook opponents. Now, the energy from the fan base has been completely, we're overlooking the Browns. We're on to Kansas City almost.
Right. Or Buffalo, whoever it is. Yeah.
From what you have gauged from, you know, the Steelers locker room, is this something similar to how they were kind of like looking past the Washington football team and the Bengals, or is this something where you can see they have that same level of focus that they would have if they were playing, you know, the Chiefs or something like that?
I mean, I think there's been nothing to me really yet that's pointed like they're looking past this team. I know people are going to make a big deal about the Juju thing, right? The Browns are the Browns. That, you know, the nameless gray faces stuff. Again, I read that completely differently. And I know, and look, Steeler fans are not happy with Juju because Steeler fans, I think, see that the same way that we saw the Stephon Tuitt tweet, which the Tuitt tweet was way worse, right? Tuitt posted, I believe it wasn't a tweet. I think it was on Instagram, but regardless, right? He posted before the Ravens game where they were, they had half their team missing in that game. He posted that it should be an easy one. Let's pad the stats, right? I mean, that was an obvious that the Steeler players were looking past that game, right? I mean, Stephon Tuitt, look, he didn't play in that game, right? But I mean, that was that's the mindset of Tuitt, and he felt like he was comfortable enough with that mindset to even tweet it, to even put it out there before the game even kicks off. None of that this week. And again, I don't think the Juju thing rises to the level of Stephon Tuitt. I think, if anything, for me, Juju, the fact that he recited the Tomlinism, right, the nameless gray faces thing, I think is a good thing in that's how Tomlin wants his team going in, right? Don't worry about the player in front of you. Worry about yourself, right? Worry about doing your job, right? It's old Bill Belichick thing, do your job type deal. So I'm happy about that. I know people did, go into that like the Browns to the Browns. Again, I think what he was trying to say is like, we're just placing the Browns. Like all I'm thinking about this week is that we're facing the Browns. I'm not thinking about like, oh, I'm going up against, Denzel Ward and all these players. And I know, for Browns fans are going to find that to be disrespectful, but I think in Juju's mind, that's not how he was coming at that. And it's been construed in a very different way.
I get what you're saying, where it's like, oh yeah, the Browns are. I feel like he was saying, like, look, they're a team, they're another team that I have to play. I feel like that's where he was trying to go to. But it's just one of those situations where you weren't trying to do nothing wrong, but everything. I remember the first game the Browns played back. I don't know if you remember this story, ever heard of this story, but during that first game, Bill Cowher comes to whoever the coach was, Chris Palmer, and he's like, hey, this is your first game back. I'm glad the franchise is back. I used to coach in Cleveland. I want to make sure that you guys do everything you can to get this right for the fans. I want you guys to run out the tunnel. Take all the time you need. We don't even need to run out there, right? Like, please, this is your moment, Cleveland. Like, this is Monday Night Football. This is your moment. Take all the time you need. You know what Bill Cowher does right after he does that, right? He goes into the locker room and he tells his team, they wouldn't even let you run out the field. They don't even respect you.
That's brilliant.
It's one of those situations where, like, I get that Juju probably did not mean it to be as disrespectful as it was, but it's just going to be phrased in that way, and it's going to be used in that way by the team. Now, I always argue how impactful locker room or what they call it, bulletin board
material
can be in the NFL. I get it's a thing in college football, like Ohio State fans were Dabo's just like, yeah, they're the 11th ranked team. Like, that's going to have an effect. But in the NFL, I mean, like, I feel like in the playoffs, teams are usually motivated to play. Like, you would have to be a fool to come into a playoff game and overlook an opponent like the Ravens admitted they did against the Titans. And again, no way the Ravens lose this week to the Titans again. There's no way Derrick Henry three-peats against the Ravens. Could you imagine?
I mean, by the time you're watching this, the Ravens probably already won by 30. I mean, honestly, how do they not win by 30?
And they're just worrying about, are we going to play the Chiefs? Are we going to play the Bills? You know what I mean? Because the Ravens are just so hot right now. No way Derrick Henry goes off again or AJ Brown. Do you see how good that Ravens secondary is? There's no way.
Best in football.
No, and then they're gonna have, what's his name? Patrick Queen gonna be just running out there with joystick out there, just on.
I mean, Dobbins may have twice as many rushing yards as Derrick Henry in this game.
He might break the single game, but he might break. You know what? I'm gonna put it right here. If it hasn't happened, because this goes up on Sunday, and we're recording this on Friday. But congratulations to J.K. Dobbins for breaking the single game rushing record. And by the way, Pookie Brown, 3-touchdown Pookie Brown this week. I'm predicting it. I know you guys are like, why is all this Titans talk in this Steeler video? I'm just saying, like, it's so impossible that would happen 3 times. That it would
right there with you.
I'm so excited, on this Sunday evening to be celebrating that Sonny finally gets to know what it's like to beat Derrick Henry and the Titans. I mean, even Ace knows what that's like, but hey, look, it takes a while for some people, you know what? So congratulations to the Ravens for definitely smoking the Tennessee Titans out the door on Saturday. Now they're just worried about what they're going to do in the AFC after that. And you know what? They might play the Chiefs. They might play the Buffalo. They're smoking them next week. And I'm recording. They're already in the AFC title game.
Well, you do want that. You do want the rematch with the Ravens in that AFC Championship game. I think
I feel like Jarvis and Marcus Peters have something they need to work out. You know what? The Ravens are going to smoke their way all the way to the AFC. I predict this. The Ravens won't give up more than 13 points on their route to the AFC Championship game.
Wow.
Yeah, that's no
Wow.
jinx right there. That's no jinx. The Ravens are just
This
going to
is
be
definitely not a
dominant.
reverse jinx. This is definitely not a reverse jinx.
Definitely not. We're just excited for the Ravens, and I'm gonna watch Graven's stream this week. Well,
Can't wait to
I
see
would
Joe
have watched.
Nuno.
By the time you see it, I would have watched Joe and all my Ravens friends, coach out there. Y'all gonna dominate so much, or y'all already have dominated. You know, we're trying to work out this time travel situation here, but it's interesting to see what the mindsets are for both fan bases coming into this game. It's the complete opposite almost from the player mindsets, right?
Yeah.
But I think both teams are going to come in pretty
both teams are locked in. Yeah, I think like we talked about with Juju, look, while the fans are going to, and all that, he's disrespecting. I think, from my perspective, he's reciting Tomlin quotes. That that likely means he's locked in, or at least he's trying real hard not to incite anything. So, yeah.
I could just see like like Mac Wilson of all people, right? He's gonna try to like pop out the MJ quote. At that point, it became personal. Like you're Mac Wilson, dog. Like you're Mac Wilson, dog. Like it don't get personal for you, Mac Wilson. Like you're not that good at that. Like
I'll say this to Juju. Listen, if you're gonna run the mesh play on 3rd and 7, just 2 hands on the ball, man. 2 hands on the football after that quote, please.
You know they're gonna run it at the 52 again. They ran it at the 50 this week. I was like, wow. I think both teams are going to be locked. I think we're actually going to see a really good game here on Sunday night. One of the things that'll be interesting to see is how this young Browns team, I think you touched on it earlier, performs in the spotlight. Now, we have seen this team in a couple of spotlights throughout the season, right? Big national spotlights. I think the Monday Night Football game, and you can count this Sunday Night Football game they played in because it is Sunday Night Football, but it was against the Giants. But they did play well in that one. And in the Monday Night Football game, like if they won that game, that would be their best performance all year. So coming into this, just as an outsider, I'm interested to see, what do you think this Browns team is going to come out like and perform in this kind of environment? Do you think they're going to shrink, or do you think they're a team that can step up to these kind of moments?
Well, just going on recent memory now, of this team, you would have to say they have stepped up big in their big moments this year. I mean, it's one of the things that I've been most impressed with, one of the biggest transformations of this Browns team, and why I think Kevin Stefanski probably deserves Coach of the Year. Like, you look at their big moments this year, and the first one I can remember is that Cowboys game when it looked like at the end of the game, oh boy, the Cowboys may come back and win this football game. And it was Odell who took an end around for a touchdown to seal the win. And from that point, they've made plenty of those plays down the stretch. So, just going on that, I would have to say, like, this, this is a team that does not shrink in those big moments, right? Now, they have shrunk again, at this level, as far as the game against Baltimore on opening day, not a great look, obviously. And then the game against Pittsburgh the first time around, not a great look. And are they capable of that again? Yes. But I think just going on what's happened this season, I think you would have to say that there really hasn't been that time. Even the games that they've lost since those two, right? The other 3 games they lost, I don't think you look at those games and go, well, that was a really big moment, and they came up small. That Monday night game against Baltimore, and they played about as well as you can in a loss, right? I mean, I talked about it on AFC North Talk as being like a moral victory for the Browns because of how well they played in that game. So I would say this. I do not expect. My expectation is the Browns are going to come out and they're going to play their game, and it's not going to be one where you afterwards you're thinking like, well, it would have been nice if the actual Browns showed up to the game.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one too. So what do you think about the Steelers coming into this game? And the Browns right now, if they win this game, it'll be a surprise for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But if they lose, it's not really going to be looked at as a negative mark against them because of everything that's going on this week. Whether that's fair or not, I'm kind of in between on that. But for the Steelers, it's no doubt, right? Like, if you lose this one, this is one that people are going to hold against you to put a black mark on this season. So with the Steelers, and I know the players kind of know that going into it.
Yes.
With that being said, I think, do you think this team plays a little bit tighter this week and the Browns play a little bit looser?
Possibly. It's possible. Although I will say that this is, there's a lot of players on this team that were on that team a couple, 3 or 4 years back when they lost embarrassingly to Blake Bortles in Jacksonville in the playoffs. And this is a team, Ben Roethlisberger was also, Cam Hayward was a part of that team that lost to Tim Tebow. So, this team is not, they are certainly capable of being embarrassed in those moments. And, but I think what's different about this one, like those games, you beat Tim Tebow. No one's, you're not leading Sports Center with like, oh my God, can you believe the Steelers beat Tim Tebow? Or, same thing for the Jacksonville game. Whereas this week, I do think that there are bragging rights for the Steelers in this one, right? Because this is a division matchup. I think that there is something to play for in that respect, right? Where it's not just kind of we're looking past this team because we want to play New England later on or whatever. Like you could have said against the Jaguars a couple years back. This is one where this is Steelers Browns. This is the rivalry. I mean, whoever wins this game is going to have bragging rights for an entire offseason. I think the Steelers know that. And that's why I don't expect them to be looking past this team or even playing tight in this game. I think they understand this is a big game and a game they have to play well to win.
And I also don't think the Steelers see themselves as a team that's so good they can't lose. Like I don't think they think of themselves.
They were humbled. They were certainly humbled.
That can't lose this game against the Browns. Like I know a lot of people are going to say, well, the Juju quote indicates that, but I just knowing Mike Tomlin, as low as he's thought about this team throughout the year, even though their record was tremendous, I don't think he's coming into this thinking, we just play our game, we're gonna be all right. I think he definitely is wary of some things and wants to take care of some things and knows that the Browns are going to have a lot of their key players playing, just a lot of pieces in between aren't, and that can be a little bit tricky to deal with. But Tony, thank you for coming on. Let everybody know where to find you, man.
You can follow me on Twitter at Steeler Country, and I will be tweeting during the games. If you want to hear my thoughts, you can follow me there. You can also find me on Locked On Steelers every Tuesday with my friend Chris Carter, and you can find me on AFC North Talk with Quincy, Ace, and Sonny. We talk all about the AFC North Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5:45 p.m. Eastern time here on YouTube.
You're going to want to make sure you're subscribed and notified because you're going to want to see Sonny celebrate that definite. Right. I mean, by now it's clinched, right? That win, triumphant blowout win that they had over the Tennessee Titans. Pookie Brown, 3 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbin breaking Jamal Lewis's single-game rushing record. How do you have a receiver get 3 touchdowns and that happened? Because he didn't break the touchdown record, right? Pookie Brown out here getting done in the third
quarter. Yeah, I mean, crazy.
And Lamar Jackson didn't even have to run more than 10 times to do it. That's how easy they won that game. Just a triumphant victory for the Baltimore Ravens coming off of Saturday. And they're on their way, hot shot express to the AFC North AFC championship game. So we'll see what happens after that, because they're already on the what Buffalo or Kansas City, depending who wins this game. So they're just worrying about who they're going to play today, right?
That's right.
So, shout out to the Ravens. Watch Sonny be excited about that Ravens team because I can't imagine, I'm recording this video on Friday, but I can't imagine Sonny would be how he would react if they would have lost 3 times to the
Titans. It just and the way that they would lose it with Lamar playing poorly for a third straight playoff game. It's unimaginable, Quincy, which is why it's not going to happen.
I don't want to see Sonny take his shirt off again because we know that's going to happen. We know that's going to happen if the Titans win that game. But no need to worry. This video's up on Sunday. They already won that game, right? No reverse things going on here. No. Not at all. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Subscribe to AFC North Talk and this channel if you like me. And I know I got a lot of Steelers fans who like my channel, apparently, because y'all spam me during them live streams all week. Y'all did. So, make sure you hit that subscribe button and subscribe to AFC North Talk. I know y'all love me, Steelers fans. I know y'all do. But y'all have a great day. Have a good night.